coming to your house.
I know where you live.
What's up? What's up? Welcome, everyone, to GBD Clinic. It's Thursday. It's 5 o'clock. Well, it's actually 6 minutes past 5. I was on time. I'm not going to point out who was making us late today. But listen, welcome everyone to the GBD Clinic. It's that place, it's that show, it's that area in your life, that time in your week where you get to ask anything health related. To the man on my left, Dr. Amsu, to the rest of the team, Dr. Keeler's on here, yours truly, Mr. Breaks, and anyone else we have, they want to throw themselves into the pot, out the frying pan into the fire, of course, of health. And of course, the most important people in this whole forum are you guys, our customers, listeners, patients, friends, family, distinguished guests of the bride and groom. But listen, as always, we'd really like you guys to unmute your cameras. And, we're going to fly in some questions a little bit later on. We're going to allow a minute or so for people to join. And until that time, also want to say hi to those on the IG, all my fans on Dr. Amsu's IG. And for those of you on the YouTube as well, if you do have questions, let us know. I'll jump onto the IG in a minute, and then you guys can let me know if you have questions in the IG. Similarly, in the YouTube, if you want to ask questions in the YouTube chat, you can do that. But of course, we will prioritize those who are in the Zoom. We can interact with you guys, and it's a two-way thing. So, Dr. Amsi, what's good, son?
Doing great. I'll tell you what's been on my radar this week is, it ain't even been on my radar. It's been on everybody else's radar. Monkeypox, right? What's your take on the whole monkeypox situation? I want to hear what you think.
What an idiot thinks. First of all, I don't want it. Okay. Interesting. So there's another virus they found today in China or somewhere in Europe, and another one they found in Africa. So the question is that okay, monkeypox, if it's a new outbreak, then obviously we're gonna have to be vigilant about that, no question. But question I've been asking epidemiologists and people that I bump into who claim to be experts in this field is, prior to COVID, my understanding is that we're having outbreaks of varying diseases all the time.
All the time.
Some of them are small outbreaks, some are large outbreaks, some of them are contained, some fizzle out, some have not been contained. And, there's this, like a constant, World Health, warning in certain areas and certain conditions, so on and so forth. So is it that, and I'm not talking about, I'm maybe digressing a little bit from from monkeypox specifically. Is it that there are more viruses now, or is it that we're reporting on every single thing now because we're now COVID shy? So now every, kid sneezes in middle school, then, it's shut down the county.
Don't you find it funny, right, that when there was only like a few cases, 20 cases of monkeypox, it was highlighted like this is going to be the next thing. How do they know that? If it's not a novel virus, right? Monkeypox has been around for a while, and they say that it's a common occurrence when it does occur. Not say that it's common like it is big, but it commonly occurs in Africa, so they say, right? But all of a sudden now it's like, this is gonna be the next threat of a pandemic is monkeypox, and there was like 10, 15 cases worldwide,
right? And
now it's now here, and it's like monkeypox watch. Are there any other viruses that are out there, prior to it, when they started talking about monkeypox, that have had alerts on them? And how do they know that monkeypox was gonna spread? And has it really spread? I think we've got in Georgia, there's maybe 200 cases.
Right.
In Georgia, maybe more. I might be wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. If there's more, but there seems to be I'll say there seems to be a few people that are out there who are videoing themselves and speaking about that they've got it and whatnot. And I know it's been more prevalent amongst the homosexual community. And it kind of reminds me of when HIV and AIDS during the 80s, was in that demographic first, and then it started getting out of hand. But there was a few cases back then, and it wasn't taken that seriously at first. But then all of a sudden, it was a big thing. So my thing is this, is that there's been more eyes on everything that is viral or anything of a virus or anything. And I think it's creating a level of paranoia where there's certain amount of cases expected each year from each outbreak of any type of virus, right? And what's your take on how this one has been placed in the forefront of all viruses, aside from, COVID?
Well, honestly, I've not, to be honest with you, given it too much thought. I've not really been studying it. I've had a lot of other things going on more important to my life. However, I think one of the things about monkeypox is, sort of the visceral response to the bumps on the skin. And it's a frightening disease, right? As Ebola was. Ebola, people hemorrhaging from all orifices of the body. Monkeypox is visual. And people love something that they can target. See, the thing about COVID, you can't tell someone had COVID by looking at them.
Right.
Monkeypox, you can see the spots on the face and the arms. So now there's memes going around, people going up to people in the street or random people and photographing them. Anyone's got bumps, they say, well, the monkeypox is out there. It could be, skin rash or something like that. So I think a lot of the sort of hysteria is around, is because of what it does, the lesions on the skin, right? The way it makes people look. It's like leprosy. And people are mean. People are mean. They're wicked. And they will make fun of people. And, it's not for the safety of the general public. It's to make fun of people who do have it. And I don't really appreciate that, because here's the thing. If it's man-made and all the rest of it, we may or may not find out in the future. But the thing is, how do we as a community, how do we as people respond to these things, right? Are you going to ridicule people who have it? Or are we going to look for cures? Are we looking to, help these people? Are we looking for solutions to how we as a society handle this stuff? Are we looking for solutions to fake news? Are we questioning the government? Are we questioning the CDC? Are we trying to get facts? Or are we just out here with our phones looking for a quick giggle? You know what I mean? So I'm honestly not trying to get caught up in the hysteria. If it does reach pandemic levels, we will know. When you start walking around the street and you start seeing, 1 in 100 people with monkeypox, we will know. When I was a kid, it was German measles, and it was measles, mumps. I don't remember rubella. But they added it to the cocktail.
Right.
But measles and mumps.
I was like, what is rubella? When I was a kid, I was like, what's rubella? I knew what measles and mumps were. I was like, what's this rubella?
You either had one of the two or both if you were lucky. I don't know. So honestly, and I will.
Have you noticed? Mm-hmm. Sorry to interrupt you, mate. Have you noticed that for quite a while there hasn't been any like chicken pox outbreaks in the last few years? Usually, you see children around with their calamine lotion and whatnot, and you hear about it in family and friends' families that they got chicken pox. But there's been no chicken pox.
Yeah.
For a while. Is anybody else out there feeling like this? That, what's happened to chicken pox? Where's it gone?
People on this call probably have chicken pox, which is why their cameras are muted. Ingrid, who's got her hand up trying to ask a question, probably trying to put a mask on to hide the chicken pox. But it's a very interesting time we're living in. And, for the conspiracy parrots among us, who were just a few years ago hearing from a president was talking about, the next big thing in the world is going to be a virus or some kind of outbreak, some contagion. It may not be a war. We're sort of precursing. You have to look back at that and think, well, you know what, from a scientific standpoint or from looking at it from an, etymological standpoint, that makes sense. We are more than likely at some point going to face some world epidemic or pandemic, as with the bubonic plague. And there's been several plagues over the decades. And there's some that, again, that just don't go reported, partly because of the communities that those plagues affect. If it doesn't happen in the West, there's some small part of Africa or Asia or somewhere, it happens in that area. And if you're in that industry, you may hear about it, but no one really cares. But it comes to Europe, it comes to...
it's a big word. Plague is a big word.
Well, wasn't COVID a plague?
It's a pandemic.
All right. What's a plague? A pandemic with a capital P.
It's a pandemic in the Bible. It's an epidemic in the Bible.
Epidemic of biblical proportions.
Right.
But so I mean, let's wait and see. I don't want to give out any fake news or even my opinion on certain things. I just state my opinion on what I feel when I see these memes going around, and it's rather unfortunate the way we think now, that we've become so desensitized to the truth. Not only are we so happy to lap up the lies. If someone posts something, it goes viral. Why don't we fact check? Why are we waiting for the media to fact check and for these companies to? Why don't we fact check? I think we talked about this last week. More of us need to be journalists and scientists and engineers and So that when we hear some information, we know how to
here's
discern it.
Here's what the problem is. Journalists who are questioning the narrative, they're losing their jobs. And even going further than that, you have like Julian Assange, right? They're enemies of the state. So if you expose certain things, when journalists are supposed to be those people who work for the press, and the press is what keeps government in check, is the voice of the people, or the informants of the people. And this whole fact checking, this whole they tried to bring the disinformation bureau, whatever it was called, right, which didn't really have legs, or didn't kick off because people found it to be a joke and weren't having it. But when you try to fact check the narrative, mainstream media, you stand a chance of being cancelled, being targeted. I spoke to a representative of Rizza Islam yesterday, and she was like, they managed to get Rizza Islam's account up to like 3 million or so 3.2 million or something, and then they kicked him off again. They took him off Instagram again, and one of the things is social media was a way for your average Joe Schmo to have an opinion, to have an audience, and to say whatever. Now there's rules and regulations surrounding that where you can't even have an opinion anymore. Your opinion is, I could be here talking about anything and be, and I believe it's right, it's my opinion, but it might not be right. Is that grounds for me to be removed because I'm expressing an opinion? It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, again, welcome to those just joining either the IG, the YouTube, or the Zoom. We do have a question. We're going to jump to that. And thanks to everyone that emailed questions in. We may get to some of those just to share some of the answers with you that we've been getting over the week. And guys, if during the week I tell you, you feel like something pops into your head, you have a question or a thought, drop us an email, support@greatblackdetox.com. Drop us an email and we'll get back to you. We love the information. We love the questions. We love being disturbed during the day when I'm trying to watch football. But anyway, we are here. Beautiful people. Ingrid, I see you had your hand up for a little while. How are you doing, Ingrid? Okay, I think you may be on mute, Ingrid. Yeah, you're on mute. Do you know where your bottom left-hand corner of your screen there should be a microphone? Or are you on your phone?
Yes, but
there you go. We can hear you now.
I noticed you're doing a lot of talking today. I don't have on any mask covering any monkeypox.
Okay, thank you. We're happy to hear that.
Say that again, Ingrid.
She said.
Yes. Good afternoon, guys. My question today, well, actually I have two. Is that lately, for the last 2 weeks, I have been observing that I'm sweating profusely in my head and my face. I just want to know if I should be concerned it might be a medical condition, or profusely. Not like if I'm in the shower, I'm just sweating, even when I'm in the air condition at periods of time.
Well, aside from it being August, right? And here's the thing. I see Tanya laughing. Tanya's laughing. But there are people who have seasonal behavior in the way how their body behaves, right? Now, even myself, the moment we get past June 21st, right? I tend to sweat at night, like when I sleep, I'll sweat. And I don't sweat all over my body. I sweat on my face and on my head. Just my face and my head. And every summer, from it turns to summer, that's what happens. And so I have my fan on. I don't ever have AC on while I sleep. So I have a fan. I have my ceiling fan that I have on, and it helps a lot. But if you are concerned, and this is the first time in your life that it's happened?
Yeah, since I was, like young, you're sweating, but I observed it for the last more so the last week.
Right. I mean, it could be anything, but what I would say, and Dr. Keeler, you can chime in here if you want, right? Have you changed anything in your diet? Because I think it might be climate, and that you've changed your diet. And when we sweat, there's two reasons why we sweat, right? Or there's more than two reasons, but two good reasons why we sweat. One is to cool ourselves down, right? And our head and face is where, heat rises, and that's where our heat escapes our bodies, right? So it's good that it's cooling you down, right? And two is to get rid of toxins out of the body, right? So it could be any one of those two things. But are you getting headaches or anything are you getting chills or anything like that?
No, just the discomfort of the excessive sweating. No chills, no headache. And
is it through the night, or is it just at random times?
Like random times. For this week, like 2 nights, my pillow was dripping wet, and I had to change the top of my pajamas because it was wet. And I said, this is strange. I've never experienced this before.
Right. Dr. Keeler? And just wait for our producer to let you in. Here we go.
Pleasant afternoon, everybody. Thank you, producer.
He's tried something new today, everybody. Tried something new. Because what it is, there's been a few trolls, right? I think Mikey must have messed with somebody's daughter. So we've been having a few trolls. So it's to safeguard you guys. People can F and blind us up and blind us all they want. We're worried about you guys' ears,
So, pleasant afternoon. What Dr. Amsu was talking about, pardon me, seasonal allergies. So, are you just sweating in the summertime more, or is it summertime? And you said random times, but is this going on throughout the year or more so in the summer?
This has just started happening like about 2.5 weeks. The most is 2.5 weeks now. I never used to sweat before. Even when I walk, I exercise.
Do you work in hospital?
Not anymore. Not for the last year.
When you did you wear N95 mask?
No, we weren't wearing masks.
Okay. The reason I asked that is that I still have quite a few friends that still work in healthcare and are looking to leave. One of the things is they've noticed they started to sweat more since the institution of the N95 mask and have joint pains. So that's why I was asking about that. Now, as Dr. Amsu already explained, the sweating is mostly dissipation of heat, but it can be dissipation of toxins. So if your body's going through cycles of filtering, pardon me, my allergies. If it's going through cycles of filtering, what could be happening is when your body goes through a filtration cycle, you're going to sweat. You're also going to urinate a little bit more often. You may notice even that the taste in your mouth will change around that filtration cycle. Okay? If you're part of what his program is about is increasing the mitochondria in our brown fat, cooler showers, changing what we eat and how we utilize energy. If you have any buildup of toxins in your system, they will be sequestered in certain parts of the cell. All cells have a sequestration system, a system where if they don't know what to do with something, they wall it off until they get the right set of nutrients in the body or the right set of conditions to eliminate it. In addition, there is also hormonal changes that happen in menopause. And if your progesterone is not where it's supposed to be, you're going to have a dominance of estrogen, which causes vasodilation, and you're going to let off a lot more heat. So it can be many things. And one of the ways to identify what's going on is to keep a diary, as what Mr. Breaks always encourages us to do. He says, keep a diary so that you know when this happened, what other things preceded it. Because a lot of us operate on autopilot. And when things happen that change in our body, we're not always aware of the triggers. They can be environmental, they can be dietary, they can be stress related, they can be related to medication, they can be related to many other things, including illness. The fact that you sweat is a good thing, but it's what's triggering it more often than not, okay? So changes in body fat can precede sweating, especially if there's a gain, because body fat has aromatase, which converts androgens, male hormone, to estrogen, vice versa. If you are having more blood vessel dilation, opening up, you're having more flow to tissues as a result of more estrogen in your body, you're going to sweat. You're going to sweat. I don't know if you think back to when you first start having menses. Most women experience this 24 hours or some window of time before that. We experience a flash of heat right before we start having a menses, which is pretty normal for a lot of women, right? We're having sudden spikes in certain hormones, and it feels like a hot flash, but it's not a hot flash. And then once your menses start, it subsides. If your hormones are fluctuating like that, but more often, that's hormonal changes that need to be addressed. And you have to look at your food, your level of stress, if your body fat percentage has changed, and also what's going on with your sleep cycle. Because if you're not sleeping properly, and that is the time when our bodies tend to eliminate a lot of waste at the molecular level within the cells themselves. If you're not sleeping properly, if you're constantly waking up and you're not in that stage 2 sleep, which is reparative and restorative, then the body has to find some other time when you're more relaxed to eliminate waste. So it's important to document what's going on day to day. Okay. That will help a lot. Your whoever you do a consultation with, help you. It will go a long way to help the consultant help you figure out what's the trigger.
Absolutely. And thank you, Dr. Peter, for that. Yeah. So and guys, we say this quite often, and we just want to repeat, be mindful, right? And this is coming from this side of the fence. We're the Great Black Detox people. We're the people who are telling you that there are alternatives to what you're being told out there. You're being lied to and all the rest of it. That being said, we don't do x-rays. We don't do lab work. We don't do blood work. We don't check your posture. You need to go and get that stuff done. Do not be opposed to going to the doctor and getting checkups done. Whether you go to a minute clinic and do it, or there are so many companies now, you can just go online and book tests and book blood work. You don't have to go to a hospital or to a traditional doctor if you're worrying about that. just to get lab work done. And the reason I'm saying that is, you know, and Dr. Keeler, Dr. Amsa, you guys can both keep me honest here. The human body only reacts a handful of ways to pathogens and through, you know, trauma. And so you can feel a symptom, and that symptom can be caused by any number of conditions, right? And so, you know, you're getting a hot flush, or you're feeling warm, or, you know, you're feeling a bit of pain. Oh, it must be this, where it could be 100 different things. Go and get that thing checked out. Once we know what it is, they've done the blood work, they've done all the examinations, and they've processed the elimination, right, it's not going to be this, that, or the other. Then Dr. Amsu, Dr. Keeler, and the team can come in and say, okay, look, here's where you're being here's where you're being attacked, and here are the, you know, the pathway, the solutions to that. So Ingrid, please go and get checked out for that particular thing. But I think, Ingrid, you had another question, correct?
Okay. This is for my niece. She is in the hospital now. They say she has acute heart failure, and that's her report to me. There's only 35% of her heart is operating. From my little knowledge of 35, and she's talking and, you know, seems to be normal, but they admitted her to do tests. And can you explain to me how you get acute heart failure, and how long, if people can live with 35% of their heart functions?
With heart failure, that's how long is a piece of string. There's so many etiological pathways that can lead to heart failure, especially in this day and time, right? And it would be incorrect for me to say, right, this is the way how you get acute heart failure. That would be incorrect if I tried to put it down to, you know, oh, these three things are the most common or whatever. What was her diet? What was her weight? Does she smoke? Does she drink? Does she smoke weed? You know, there's so many, you know, what household products does she use? You know, is there asbestos in her, you know, there's too many variables.
I think that Dr. Amsu, and you're 100% accurate, but I think what Ingrid's question is that she's already been diagnosed with this, right? And I think the cause, you know, we'd love to understand what the cause is, but she's been told that her heart's functioning at 35% of its normal capacity. And can people live with their heart functioning? And I know there are people out there, some on medication and some not, you know, yeah.
And I don't mean to sound asinine or anything like that, but she's still alive. Her heart is at 35%, she's still alive. So that answers that question. But what type of quality of life can she live or lead with 35%? Right? And the heart is not as robust as, say, the liver, because the liver is a very robust organ, vital organ that, you know, even at 35%, it can still operate and handle its functions to a good degree. 35% of heart, that's a weak heart. That's a weak heart. And there are some people who walk around and who live with heart at 35% capacity, but they're very vulnerable. They're extremely vulnerable. And it's not a good place to be. And I would like to know exactly what's going on, and there may be underlying conditions as well. Your heart.
She has she suffers from asthma also.
So there's a level of pulmonary issues going on, respiratory and pulmonary issues going on as well. And again, her having asthma, that means that there's a high level of inflammation.
Diabetic. Huh? She's also diabetic.
And she's diabetic. All right.
Yeah.
So you see, so it's not so this is the thing. It's not an isolated incidents. And then what other conditions does she have that they may have just discovered that you don't even know about yet? You see what I'm saying? So when there's heart failure, again, there's a plethora of pathways that may have led to that, you know, pathological incidences that are underlying this outcome. Remember, when we're given an osis or an ISIS or a, you know, itis or whatever disease we have, that is an outcome. That's a specific outcome that's derived from different pathologies and etiologies, right? And this is why, if a doctor tells you something and says, right, I've gone through your blood work, we've given you all these tests, here's my diagnosis, right? It's always best, even if what he's saying may be correct, it's always best as well, though, to get a second and even a third opinion, because these are opinions. Like, I've looked it over, and you know, being a doctor is very investigative, right? We're investigators. So it's like, this appears to be this thing. And the pathway that is taken, you know, through my knowledge and my expertise, I believe it to be such and such. But it's opinion, right? And it's always good to have more than one. Not to be like you're challenging somebody and saying, well, you're a quack, you know what you're talking about, I don't believe you. It's that, thanks for that, and I'm going to get another opinion or two, so that I have a full scope of the potential of my condition. So she has underlying conditions, which means her immune system, she's immunocompromised. We're living in times of all kinds of viruses, and COVID-19 and the vaccine affects heart, right? Where there's a whole bunch of cases of myocarditis. There's myocarditis, viral myocarditis, right? Which can cause heart failure. Now, diabetes, is she obese?
Not anymore. She used to be, but she has dropped all of her body mass. I think they're trying to put a stent in her. That's why they admitted her. They're trying to open the valve by some.
Right, and that is.
Miss Michelle, can you speak, because some of this information you have given, I'm not.
And then there's, you know, that's indicative of atherosclerosis,
Michelle
vasoconstriction, right?
We're gonna unmute Michelle, Ingrid.
And Dr. Keeler, let's talk. Let's talk about this.
So one second, Dr. Keeler. So
and the producer muted you anyway, Dr. Keeler. He's got you muted. He's a mute Nazi today.
So Michelle, I know Michelle's got some additional information on the young lady. So Michelle, welcome.
Hi, Michelle.
I don't even know. Can y'all see me?
We can see you,
I have to stand up to be seen. I don't even know much. I just heard about it yesterday. Just the information I put in there that, you know, as my mom told me, it's 35%. I just know she's diabetic. She's no longer overweight. But what I'm wondering, like you were saying, get additional opinions, but I'm wondering how realistic is that if she's in hospital? Doubt they'll release her without treating her in some way. So
yeah, I wasn't really like aiming at her per se. I was just saying,
in general.
In general, like, you know, we know that she does have diabetes. That's a fact. We know that she has asthma,
I'm not sure
which
she's
is a
insulin
fact.
dependent, though.
And obviously, there's cardiologists who have analyzed what's going on and know, all right, this is how
and I believe
her heart
vaccinated.
is actually operating. And she has been vaccinated?
I think so, Auntie, yes?
Yeah, she is vaccinated because if not, she couldn't work. because she's in the medical field. The other thing is she has been going in and out of hospital for this year. This is like the 4th time with this condition, but it seems worse this time.
And Auntie, recently wasn't she in a car accident a little while ago?
Yes, she was in a car accident.
And when she, let me ask you this: when she lost her weight, did she lose her weight through
illness, or was it
voluntarily or involuntarily?
Involuntary.
All
she
right.
just started losing the weight.
Okay,
that was a while ago. That's
that means that
probably
she
like
lost
2-3
weight
years
down
ago.
to illness.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Keela.
Yes. So, heart failure, and I'm actually doing a presentation on this because there is a certain path that heart failure follows. A lot of different things can cause it, but once it gets initiated, it follows a rather predictable pattern. So if she had many different illnesses going on, anything that's going to affect oxygen getting to the heart, blood flowing to the heart, and blood flowing away from the heart, as well as toxins reaching the heart, is going to impact the heart no matter what. So you mentioned she has asthma and she is diabetic. Both of those are conditions of flow. So why? Because oxygen has to diffuse in as we inhale, has to diffuse across the barrier and get from the alveoli, which are like these pockets, into the bloodstream. But if she's diabetic, diabetes causes chronic inflammation of blood vessels, and chronically inflamed blood vessels can swell, which lowers the flow throughout the body, because inflammation hardly ever stays where it starts. It starts one place and it's like a smoldering forest fire in California. It's going to spread and affect everything, even distant stuff. And being that the heart has a high demand and a very low tolerance for any imbalances in blood flow and oxygen flow, the heart is going to be the first thing stressed out oftentimes. I was going to ask, was she pregnant in the last few months? Because pregnancy can do it too. But when you mentioned she had been immunized against a particular thing that now on record has been shown to cause inflammation of the heart muscle, it stands to reason that if she already had a weakened heart, could progress into heart failure. Because what ends up happening is, if the heart is already weakened from challenges of flow, whether oxygen or blood flow, right? And then you add another assault to the system, you're taxing a system that already can't handle it. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem with this is, and this is not an indictment against any particular physician, if you knew how many people get through, you would know ahead of time that if a physician can't sit down for 5 minutes to explain to you the disease process of what brought you, your loved one, to a particular point, they got through, but they didn't learn the material. And anybody that has any chronic inflammatory condition should not be given anything that's going to make more chronic inflammation.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
One size does not fit all.
It does not. What happened for some people, and it's only because I read, like Dr. Amsu reads, he encourages his consultants to read and stay current on the research. This is the thing. What we hear in the news is only but a fraction of what's available in national medical libraries in different countries. And you literally have to read not only within your country, but outside your country
Cuba,
to know what's
Israel,
available.
right? Cuba, Israel,
Right.
Norway, Sweden. You
Right.
have to know what's going on in these medical institutions, because
Right.
they have different laws governing them, so they have more wiggle room, or they have more ability to express their findings. And
Right.
here's another major problem. What goes on in this country is that family doctors, the ones who really care about their patients, they're being muffled. They are muzzles
put out.
are being put on their mouth, because they're saying to their patients, I don't think you should take this vaccine. And they're losing their licenses, or being threatened that their licenses are going to be taken. So, you know, the more mom and pops doctors, the ones who you feel at home with, right? They're being replaced by robots, by those people who will follow commands, who will follow what they're being told, all the dictates of the government and big pharma, right? And understand, what we talk about and what we say, we're oftentimes labeled as conspiracy theorists or conspiracy parrots or whatever, but we are very diligent in how we study. We dig deep. So by the time when we express our opinions or our 2 cents on a situation, we're well learnt in the subject.
And believe me, they don't want a whole lot of us getting through because of this. When you're a doctor that will educate your patient population, what ends up happening is your prescription record, as far as how often you prescribe, goes way low, because you're able to teach people how to avoid the negative outcomes that after a while become irreversible. Okay? And I know doctors when I was a student who were fired for educating their patient population because they didn't have enough scripts on record for the head of the department to justify keeping them. They take orders too. So what it becomes is, one of the things that strengthens the heart is increasing CoQ10 input. Coenzyme Q10 is a very big cofactor in the electron transport chain that generates energy so that the heart can constantly do its job. The irony is CoQ10 is replenished by both copper, selenium, and also iron. That's where your minerals meet certain antioxidants, and they come together to make the machinery of your cell operate much more efficiently. The heart never stops. It is always on. If she's in heart failure, not only is she not generating the energy she needs because she can't get the oxygen in, but she's not getting the blood flow because of the diabetes, because it has eroded the walls, literally poked holes in the walls of the blood vessels. So now they're leaky, and they're leaking oxygen and nutrients, and also not being able to carry away waste properly. So what do? You fix the engine. You fix the engine by replacing the faulty parts. So right now, she is in, it sounds like 70% heart failure, 30% function. That requires her to be very, very fine-tuned about her eating. She cannot play. She cannot be in a state of acidosis because it will tax the kidneys, which will turn around and tax the heart. The heart, for every single beat, pumps 25% of its output, its oxygenated output, to the kidneys, which thereafter filters what just came off the liver. So now it also means if you don't want to further poison the heart, her liver has to be strengthened. Okay? And the only way you strengthen the liver is to strengthen the gut. That means her diet has to change. There can't be, but I don't like, and I don't want, and I don't feel for it. You have to eat to live and stay alive. the lady's going to have to go plants, number one. Number two, no animals means minimal acidosis, which because animal protein is very acidic. Myoglobin, which is the protein of which muscles are made in mammals, and birds have similar but not the same, and fish have similar but not the same protein. That, when it's broken down, generates a lot of acid. It's too taxing on our cells, too taxing on our kidneys, too taxing on our liver, which means it taxes our heart. Number two, hydration is going to be important because when you're correcting issues of flow, because inflammation always affects flow. Everything boils down to chemistry and physics in the body. Chemistry and physics. It's either the electrical magnetic signal is out of whack or the flow is out of whack. So what you end up doing is making sure she eats foods that are going to keep her maximally vasodilated within physiological limits that are going to increase function of the heart and decrease taxing of the heart. That means dark leafy greens. That means minimal starch. So if she's used to ground provisions, let them go. Do the ancient grains like fonio, which will promote healing because they have the right combination of proteins and minerals from the soil in which they're grown to help her heal. Number two, the fruits. She needs the fruits to donate a lot of methyl groups. Methyl group is basically carbon with 3 hydrogens. So it looks like this, right? This is a carbon and you got 3 hydrogens coming off of it like this. When those bind, they literally get on a seat, a saddle that sits on specific genes in the DNA and causes the assembly of other proteins that will turn off certain genes that are worsening the chronic inflammation and activate other genes that will accelerate the healing. Those come from fruits. So she has to be maximally methylated in her body so that those nutrients enter the cell, go to the nucleus, and change the signal coming from the brain's cells. Then you got to find sources of natural CoQ10, or at least the minerals that will help her existing CoQ10 function. There are doctors that are cardiologists that do believe in plants as medicine for the heart. And they will tell you this. They often put their patients on prescription strength CoQ10. And if they can't get the prescription strength, they send them to different retailers or wholesalers that sell it to them, and they encourage their patients to take it twice a day so that it removes the taxation off the heart and removes the taxation off the lungs. Because if the heart is not functioning well, the lungs are not going to function well, because that's a marriage. Everything in our body is married.
So, and this is the reason why with most inflammatory conditions and diseases, we have our elimination meal plan. We've put together a meal plan which omits purposely and purposefully, right? Omits all starches, all meats, right? And concentrates on fruits and green leafy vegetables, right? This is like paramount. So even though we have the supplements, it's like, all right, what else are you putting into your body? Because some people believe that if I got the supplements, I can do what I want and just take the supplements. It's like, no, if you want the supplements to work efficiently at their best, don't put poisons, don't put other toxins, don't put inflammatory foods into your body. Don't upset your microbiome. Everything is connected. So, you know, we have the supplement called Heart RX, right? Which is for heart failure, heart disease, you know, for atherosclerosis. We have Deep Vein, which is also for arteries, veins and arteries, and the health of blood vessels, right? And and of the blood. We have breathe, which is our respiratory formula for sinuses and the respiratory system, right? We have liver RX, which liver RX is one of the bases, and blood RX. These are the bases of most of our protocols. You will always find those in there because the liver plays such a crucial role. It's your anchor man. That's the captain of your team. Is your liver, right? So we do have the supplements, but it's important, as Dr. Keeler just said, she has to restrict. She has to be on a very extremely restrictive diet.
Okay.
And she's now eating to live.
Dr. Amsu, Dr. Isn't this where, and first of all, Michelle put in the chat earlier on, you guys wouldn't have seen that, or maybe you guys would have seen it on the Zoom, that this young lady is only 40, 41. That's no age, right? That's young, just graduated high school not too long ago. And so that's pointing to conditions and lifestyle, right?
Also, she has a very toxic job.
She did what?
She has a very toxic job. She works all hours while she is home. The job is calling her.
Yeah. We
and her environment, like she works in, right? Her work environment, because she's in the medical field.
And she lives in New York.
And she lives in New York.
On top of that, she takes the subway. We all the time, when you have consultations, private or otherwise, these things come out, and we find that people's environment, people's working, people's living conditions, people's diets, all of these things contribute. We've not had a single person who ate clean, lived in the wilderness, was stress-free, that had a bunch of illnesses. Every single one of them, when you drill down, you start to find these precursors as to why they have these conditions. And this is that without us pinpointing exactly where she works, what ward she works on, exactly what she eats. It's clear as day. We've been doing this for far too long. 40 years old. So if you're 40 now and you've been suffering these things for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, that means since you were 30, since you were in your 20s, when you're supposed to be on your peak performance. Do you see what I mean? So this does point to that. But I wanted to say, so she's around 40. Sorry, 1 second. Right. So she's still quite young, Dr. Anthony, Dr. Keeler. Look, you taught me this a long time ago, Dr. Amsi, that as long as you're breathing, right? As long as your metabolism still functions, you have an opportunity to change your lifestyle around, okay? And I heard Michelle talking, I heard you've all talking about, people got to change their mentality. This is key to almost everything we're facing in America, in the world right now, is our mentality and our attitude towards food, health, and medicine. I'm not saying medication, which is part of it, food, health, and medicine. And we don't know this young lady. We'd love to meet her. Michelle, maybe you can arrange for her to have a consultation.
Yeah, we'll have to see how receptive she is to a consultation and the supplements and stuff. So we'll. Yeah.
Is she a difficult person? You can say it. She's not here. We won't share this online.
This is just not her path. Only on YouTube. So we'll.
Yeah.
It might take some convincing, but maybe this is.
Yeah,
it would be unfortunate that this would be the thing, but
no, we're gonna think. Did you, Michelle? I asked you to send. I asked you to send it to her mother so they could listen in.
Yeah,
yeah. We'll sort something out and see if we can get her on, and it's all the information that Dr. Keeler provided, and to go with this stuff. Like it's a whole thing that has to go, and she has to be receptive. Otherwise,
what we also, and I think we're kind of touching on. I wish Dr. Yolanda was here, or the other Yolanda. We hate to use the term mental health, right? But, in terms of coping with these sorts of things, right? One thing I've noticed in my personal life with people in my family who have certain conditions or weight issues or, is their attitude, right? They are often very bullish, very aggressive, very standoffish. They can find excuses for anything to keep the status quo, right? And
I put a tick there.
It doesn't matter how much common sense you talk to these people. It takes an intervention. It takes a trauma. It takes an accident for them to wake up. And often than not, it's that same attitude that's got them in that situation in the first place, right? So Michelle, I know you for I can put my money on it, that you're someone that helps your community. You help your family. We've had all of your aunties on here, right? And you're someone that I'm sure takes people, puts them in a corner and says, listen, this is what's going on with you. You need to make a change. It's that psychological piece that sometimes family members can't do. because they've already put you in that pigeonhole, they've already put you in that box. You may need an outside intervention. You may need some of that tough love. You may need a boot camp of some sort, or you may need an ER trip.
Yeah.
You may need that ER bill. How much is an ambulance trip now? Isn't it average $4,500 in America? How much is a trip in an ambulance in America?
$900. Yeah, the ambulance is, I think it used to be $900.
Right.
Because when she called me and said, Auntie, I can't talk. Could you come to the doctor? She could barely talk. She wasn't breathing. I said, no, get the ambulance. I can't come to take you. By the time I get there, you'll die.
Right.
So she went with an ambulance
And you know,
they transfer her from one hospital.
And here's something, right? We deal with alternative medicine, right? And alternative sometimes is translation of alternative is last resort.
Bucks in the back of the head.
We're last resort.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're last resort is because we've been conditioned. Society has been conditioned that, you know, no, go see the mainstream. Do it the mainstream way. And the mainstream way basically supplanted and ousted natural medicine. It was ousted and it was planned. It was a conspiracy. This is not a theory. Go and check out history. This was a conspiracy by certain billionaires to control medicine, right? To control medicine. Now, what is actual medicine is the last resort. We're looked upon as being the quacks that you don't really know what you're talking about. What's in this? All right, you got me this thing. What's the ingredients? But when they're admitted to ER, and they're put on a drip or, you know, anything intravenously, there's no, well, what's in that? No, don't put that in me. What's in that? When they're being, you know, any anesthetics that are being used, no one questions what's in that. When people are being inoculated or vaccinated, they're not asking what's in that. But when this is all natural, it's on plants. Well, what plants? You know, so we work at a disadvantage in this, and you know, we commend all you guys who utilize our services and take our supplements and that, because you are the few, right? And you know, the elite few, we're gonna call you. Mm-hmm. The 144,000.
Don't start, bro. don't even.
But this is what we're up against. We are up against mainstream. And when you try to talk to family, they look at you like you're in some kind of a cult. What kind of cult you in? Burdock? Turmeric? Sound like a cult to me.
So guys, listen, great discussion. And, you know, once in a while we do hear of cases with people like this, often through no fault of their own, right? They have these conditions, and obviously we really are here to help. And without seeing the person, without knowing the person, without being in front of them, obviously we can only sort of pontificate as to what's going on with them, right? So my recommendation, of course, Michelle, as you fully understand, is to have a consultation, and then, you know, we can do sort of a one-on-one, and maybe, and I say this every week, things are typically revealed in consultations that, you know, they haven't told you, Michelle and Ingrid.
Right, we don't even have all the information.
Right, even they may not even realize. Remember, I talked earlier on about symptoms. People experience symptoms that are a signal of something, and they ignore it because they think it's normal, because it's normalized. And people that have health conditions, the symptoms are normalized. People that have gastric issues have heartburn every day. Oh yeah, when I eat, you know, I just take some Tums. They've normalized the heartburn, but it's eating away at the stomach lining, right? So 10, 15 years later now, you know, they have a chronic condition, a critical condition. And so in a consultation, you know, the doctor asks, how do you feel after you eat? Or, you know, when you run, how do you feel? What's your breathing like? What's your rest time like? And it starts to point certain things out. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point. Ingrid and Michelle, get this person onto a consultation, and we'll see what we can do to help.
We will.
Dr. Keeler, you had something else?
So if they want to put a stent in her between tonight and tomorrow, what that, you know?
If it's gonna keep her alive,
you're gonna have to.
You see,
and don't think Dr. Ams is gonna say,
because they're probably
tell her
not
don't
releasing
do
her
that.
without treating her in some way anyway.
Not me, because the technology is there for a reason. If there's a reason why she needs that stint, take it.
And we're talking about a stint, so we're not talking about medicine or medication, right? So they've gone past that. They're saying, well, there's no drip, this is
critical,
right? There's no steroid or something we can give her to close the valve or open the valve. Now we have to go in and do a physical intervention, which shows you that it's gone beyond a certain stage, even for them. As much as they'd like to put her onto a long-term medication, they're like, we've got to go and do something immediate. So again, that's got to play out. And remember, she's in the hospital now. Is that correct?
Yes,
she's in hospital now. So, a lifestyle change isn't going to happen overnight. So, listen, Michelle, Ingrid, keep us posted on this. You know where we are. You know how to reach us. If you want to book a consultation, or do that ASAP. Yeah, just do that ASAP so we can.
Thank you.
Yeah, button down.
Thanks, guys. It's very informative for us.
Thank you, Ingrid. Thank you, guys. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Like I said, we need to bring you guys, Michelle and Marva, a community action award for I don't know, the Iron Cross or something. What do the Americans have? Isn't it
Purple Heart?
Purple? No, that's for veterans of the war and stuff.
That's all I know.
What's the highest U.S. honor? Isn't it some?
$1 million.
No, that's not going to do it.
$1 million.
Presidential Medal of Honor or something. Isn't that the highest civilian honor you can get? Presidential Medal.
$1 million or Presidential Medal of Honor. I'm
Presidential
with you,
Medal of Honor,
Ingrid.
because I'll get
I'm
on.
taking the million.
I'll take the medal because I can get on Ellen and talk about my, she charged me $1 million every time. But listen, guys, again, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. Again, keep us posted, Ingrid and Michelle. Anything else, you guys?
No, I'm okay now.
Thank you very much. Dr. Keela, I think your hand is up. So Tanya, I believe you were next.
Oh, me or Doctor?
Go ahead, Tanya.
It's the other way, Dr. Keela. She's on the other window. It's like Celebrity Squares, yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm over here in your parts of the woods.
Yeah, I heard you went back. How's it?
I love it always. Yeah. I'm waiting for Carnival. Hey.
Oh man, you're making us jealous. We haven't been to Carnival for.
So you're still in Georgia?
No, she's in London.
No, I was in Georgia already. I just left, and now I'm in London
for
2 months. Yeah, till October, I think. Till October.
We're in Georgia. When somebody says our neck of the woods now, we're
because your
now.
former neck of the woods.
All right,
your former neck of the woods. But yeah, so two things. My original question was going to be about was it myocarditis? Okay, so first of all, have you ever heard of NAC?
I've seen that.
Yes. Okay. So this is now where I live. It's in my United States is in a place called Bedford Hills, New York. It's like a little suburb, whatever. But I was asking the lady at Mrs. Green's, when someone gets COVID, I was just curious, what are people taking? Because, I always want to know. And so she said, this is what everybody's been taking. I said, really? I had never even heard of this stuff. And I've been a fan of QC10. That's what I call it. I don't know if it's the right name. Quercetin. Is it quercetin? Or what's the appropriate name? Dr. Killer, you just said it and I jack it up. But I've been a fan of that because when I had thyroid disease, one of the things it says to heal it was you had to have QC10 or something, QC10A. They had a bunch of stuff, and then your diet. Like there was 500 things. So that was how I started this process. Years ago was something I saw with Dr. Seavey. Because before that, I pretty much was better than most Americans anyway on eating, but I was still in the sugar and the pasta or whatever. Those things, they were bad, and I had no clue beyond what I know now. So when I found you guys, because I started digging when Dr. Seavey, and then they were like, oh, he's crazy. He's not really a doctor. He's not this and that. And then I started researching what he was saying and was like, wait a minute. He's not a doctor, but he's better than that. He knows science. He knows about chemicals. And, Dr. Keely, you just gave a great example. You're never going to get that from a doctor, ever. It's never going to happen. They will not explain to you what this is and what it does and how it binds and blah, 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 blah. You're never going to know that. And most people don't want to know it. But I do, because I understand, to me, Like my brother died at 41, what is it, 41 years old of heart disease at 41 with a body like Mike, a cross between Michael Jordan and Mike Tyson. Because he's nice. He's nice. Everyone thought he was a pro athlete, basically. And people used to actually pay him to train them because he does what he calls the home training. But long story short, he died suddenly of heart disease. And yes, he smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Yes, he was in recovery from cocaine addiction, but he died sober. But the coroner said to me when he pulled the sheet back, he said, I have never seen heart disease look like this. And that was 12 years ago. So from that moment, I started on a mission of like, whoa, if that's what he died of, and this could possibly be a hereditary thing because my 100-year-old grandfathers, both 100, Louisiana, eating food, people drinking, alcohol, smoking, doing all that, lived to be 100, but they died of thrombosis, which is to me still heart related, vein related. It's all the same thing to me. So now I've been on a mission and I keep following the path. So you guys were the next path that really got me right. So I thank you because even it's going to take me forever and I'm willing to do the work. But I wish I would have known half the stuff I knew now, you know what I'm saying? But at least, I can do better. Well, my kids are they're way better than me. Especially my oldest one. She's like a food god. She understands all of it. So I'm glad about, at least I can go to the next generation and do better than we did. But a question I really was going to ask, you guys just get me on a tangent here because so many good things just came out of all those conversations. And I'm like, I know I can't be tagging off all of them. But thank you, Dr. Keeler. Thank you, Dr. Ansel. Thank you, Mr. Rakes. Because you guys, I don't care if anybody else don't listen or don't pay attention or don't want to be on a free Zoom to learn information about your health. What is wrong with people? Like the people out here, what is wrong in this time and age? You don't want to know how to heal yourself or at least stabilize yourself. How about that? You can't heal yourself, but at least stabilize yourself. I don't understand it.
They'll want to find the Zooms when the internet goes down and, they put walls and barriers up and, there'll be curfews and they'll be trying to scramble to get YouTube replays of these videos. People are comfortable.
A lady named Abraham Hicks, one thing I like that she says is that, basically she said, I always put in my terms, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him to drink. So I stopped. I used to be like, come on, you got to be on this and you got to come to this. You got to listen to that. And then I stood back and said, wait a minute. Some people don't want to get better. They just don't. I'm sorry to say it. They don't. I've told people who in the middle of diabetes, listen, the first thing you got to do is figure out how to start cleaning out your body first. And then you go to the next step of what you're going to do to try to reverse whatever it is, if it's not too late. Yeah. As soon as I say they got to change their food.
It's not that they're afraid to get better. They're afraid to face the journey. Do you understand? No. Nobody doesn't want to be well. It's impossible. Right. No one's going to say.
Check it out, though. People who smoke cigarettes.
Yes, instance, exactly. That's the worst.
You got the warning on the side. You got the warning on the side, and people still go and smoke it. So there's a level of cognitive dissonance. There's a level of cognitive dissonance, and they're doing it. They seem to be all right.
Yeah.
But it's smoking a cigarette doesn't kill you immediately, and that's what it is. Things that kill us slowly or kill us softly, we give it the opportunity. And it's only when we start to head down, we get to a certain threshold of, man, this is getting serious now. And there's already damage. And this is the thing.
Scramble.
When we're children and we get an illness or something, we can bounce back and snap back really quickly and brush it off and move on. But when you damaged organs for years, and they've deteriorated, and now you get sick with something that might not even be related to that organ, but relies upon that organ for support, and it's not there. Like Dr. Keeler just said greatly, the machine, the engine. When your engine stops working, it don't matter how nice the body of the car is, it's not gonna go nowhere. Yep. And this is what we're seeing with people where they don't take care of their engines. They're not taking care. And in fact, people take better care of their cars than they do of themselves. There are people who will fight you for putting regular gas into their premium tank. but they'll leave and go and eat McDonald's. You know, it doesn't make any sense. But I don't want to take up time because our producer here, he's becoming stricter by the minute.
Indeed. So Tanya, glad you're in London. Hope you're not in Sussex Gardens again. But
I was in Oxford Gardens.
Oxford. Oh, you're in Oxford Gardens. Okay, around the corner. Any more questions, Tanya? Thank you so much for sharing, by the way.
Well, yeah, remember I told you when I had COVID, it was so mild that I only knew something was weird because I had pain, I'll say mild pain in my heart. And I was like, whoa. And now I do have a heart murmur, newsflash. And so it never usually bothers me unless I get major dental work and whatever. That's the only time it would even bother me. But that was weird because I was like, wait a minute, why does my heart feel a little weird? But I can't even see the cardiologist, so I wasn't rushing anyway. But I couldn't really see him because he's too booked up. So till next year, I was like, oh, great. So just have a heart attack and go to the emergency room. So I just said, you know what? I can't be that important because they would have to make an appointment for me. But that was the only thing. And it went away. But I called 3 or 4 friends who had COVID, and they said that they had the same thing. That appears that somehow or another that this I don't know if it's myocarditis. I'm not going to say it's that. I didn't diagnose myself. I'm just saying inflammation of the heart of some sort is a thing right now. I'm not vaccinated purposely, and I don't plan on it. And because I have a heart murmur. Well, not just because I don't want to. Period. Just because I don't want to. But I'm thinking. In the meantime, since I can't get to the cardiologist, because I would like to just go and just to make sure, because heart disease is very prevalent in my family and they live to be old, but still, I'm like, I just need to know. I've been doing the vegan. I did cheat 3 times already this year. And only because it's a long story short, reunion type thing. And it was just the Negro in me. I'm just going to be honest. I just had to do it. Okay. And sorry, no offense to my fellow people, but I had to do it. I mean, come on. You can't go to a family reunion and you see the worst thing, smoked turkey necks. I am not wing. And it was somebody who I have never met before, but a family member. And they were all bragging that person makes it the best. And I said, go ahead, just kill me one day. Why not? So I did it. But I'm back on my path. It's just that was the only thing that made me go off. So anyway, I know the most important thing is eating. And so I'm trying to just do the vegan, plant-based, like you said, green, darky salads. And I try not to even cook any vegetables. Cook food to me is also a trickery of sorts. And we've been accustomed to it so much that we don't even know it. So I'm trying to do literally. It's not even salads. I don't even call it salad. Just the meal that is plant-based, right straight from the tree. Let's go, without all the fancy dressings and stuff, unless it's natural, like a lime or something like that. But anything I could do, I don't know, until I get to the doctor, I guess. It hasn't come back yet, but I had a pain in my under my left rib cage, mid-center side. And I was like, that's weird. That has never happened. But only thing I did different, I started taking these. And what did I have? I did have a salad that my daughter said she put some kind of fancy cheese. I don't know what was something. I didn't taste it, but she said she put some kind of cheese. I don't usually eat cheese at all. I just killed dairy out of my whole diet for obvious reasons. But she did put something in there. And maybe that's ghee. Is ghee a fat? Ghee is a fat, right? And that could be, she used that for something. I don't know what she put something in this elaborate salad. And I know I saw ghee on her counter and I was like, maybe that's it. Cause I used to have gallstones and I allegedly don't, I don't have them anymore, but I was like, I know you can get them and they can float around your body. Allegedly worse once your gallbladder's removed, I found out. Who'd have thought? So I don't know what that was about, but it was a sharp pain and it was only for a second, but I was like, I thought I was healthy until that happened. So now I don't know what the hell that is. I'm not sure.
And this is the thing, what everybody has to understand. Our bodies are constantly under attack by so many different sources, right? So you may experience a sharp pain in your head and then it goes away. That's it. It's done. your body dealt with it. It got extinguished. You know, you get a sharp pain somewhere. Yeah, sometimes if something reoccurs, or all the time, something reoccurs every so often, go and have it checked out, right? But our bodies are always under attack. We're under attack from pollutants, from pathogens, microbes, you know, and bacteria, viruses, you know, different types of toxins that we ingest or we inhale or whatever, and even foods. So we have a list of foods that we know are the best foods for you to eat, but then it's how do you prepare it though, right? So we all heard about cannabis, right? Marijuana, weed, that in its natural form, all the medicinal properties that it has, right? And it's great, wondrous. Medicine is medicine. But the moment you light it, you ignite that. Moment you burn it, it's a toxin. Not only is it a toxin, it's a carcinogen. It becomes a carcinogen the moment it's burnt. So we always get people asking us about when they're doing detoxes if they can still smoke weed, right? And if somebody was saying, can I eat natural cali weed while I'm doing a detox? I would say, well, I would not recommend it, because while you are not getting other nutrients into your body, right? Or into your stomach, should I say, right? If you eat it, it might make you higher than normal, right? The effects that it has. But when you smoke it, you're inhaling toxins. Now, levels of the chemicals, and everything is chemical. And the moment you ignite any chemical, its properties change, right? And how it affects you changes too. So yes, there's what's the term? The psychedelic response, right? The psychotropic effects of the THC. It's gonna get you high, right? And that's a given. But what are the other properties when you ignite it? What forms do they take? What outcomes are they? What conditions are you creating? You're creating volatile chemicals that will cause an inflammatory response in the body. And yes, there are papers that are out there that have medicinal outcomes from smoking weed. There are some medicinal outcomes, but no one likes to talk about the other side effects, the inflammatory effects that burning it has. So there's what you eat and there's how it's prepared though. Because any oil that you have, I don't care if it's the most medicinal oil ever created by God, the moment you heat it past a certain temperature, it's a toxin, rancid toxin, and it's gonna cause damage in your body. It's gonna attack your liver. It's gonna attack your kidneys. It's gonna change your microbiome, right? It's gonna change your gut flora. So there's what to eat, and then there's how to prepare it, how not to prepare it. So I'll just leave that there.
Indeed. Dr. Keeler. Tanya, thank you very much. Always
Thank
a pleasure.
you.
Make sure you
Thank you,
keep logging in from London. Thank you. Dr. Keeler.
So in brief, remember this pattern. Spiritual, and that includes your emotions and your thoughts. Chemical, physical. So it sounds very simple to say, as a man or a woman thinks he becomes, but it's actually true on the biochemical and physiological level. So the biochemistry is signal. That changes cellular behavior, and the change in cellular behavior results in structural change within cells and between cells. When you magnify that or multiply that geometrically, it becomes change in one organ precipitates change in other organs, both upstream and downstream. That's important because when things are mild and the symptoms are mild, the easiest place to change anything is your mind first and your gut second. Because this mind is supposed to override this mind, your gut brain. But when your gut brain starts to override this mind, it has the same impact as if your reproductive brain overrode this mind. And when you see people who struggle with weight, it's either an organ malfunction or organ missing or trauma. And trauma is one of the biggest themes, unfortunately. And as original people, first people in the diaspora, we don't deal with our trauma very well.
No.
And it manifests for women with our relationship with food first and sex second. And for men, it's usually their relationship with sex first, money, and then food. Because men tend to be a bit more utilitarian when it comes to eating. Not always, but often. But their level of stress, because they don't get to form the kind of social networks that women get to form, because socially, many men are programmed to suck it up and plow through it, but that doesn't respect their thoughts and emotions. So if your stress is this high, you're going to go for the biggest stress relief, and that's sex. And for women, we're socialized to talk about our stress, but depending on the company we keep, we can either give good or bad advice, but it always circulates around food and drink. So if you have friends with bad habits, you're going to eventually gain their bad habits when it comes to food and other things. And then it becomes very easy to manage your stress with food because it's an immediate gratification. Because for women, consequences of using sex to manage stress are pregnancy, untimely pregnancy. We just can't walk away from that.
Yeah.
But we have to really acknowledge our trauma. When you see people struggling with addiction, people criticize people who have the addiction, but don't recognize they were really trying to self-medicate. And if they get the professional help they need to identify the trigger that initiated their relationship with food, or sex, or money, you find that the addictions start to disintegrate and fade away because now they're more aware of
Dr.
it.
Keita,
So that's all I wanted to say with that.
No, you're hitting the nail on the head, and I guess you articulate it differently than I do, but we can't neglect the psychological piece of this, right? And everyone talks about trauma, and it may not be trauma, it may be conditioning over time, right? You're saying environment and friends and neighborhoods and culture that has conditioned us to do certain things and to not do certain things, and we can't ignore that. So a lot of times you find people have certain conditions, certain environmental triggers for conditions, and we don't know because we don't ask, we don't know where they're from. We just take a snapshot of where they are today, and we want to make an opinion, form an opinion, and form a diagnosis. But dial back. Something somewhere in their past started that behavior. Could have been their parents, it could be something at their school, could have been, again, sort of cultural things. So these things are all important, which is why we are holistic. This is why we talk for so long. This is why we ask so many questions, because we're trying to get to the root cause. Eradicating symptoms is easy. Rub that cream on it. Here's a painkiller. I know a very good painkiller. It doesn't matter what symptom you have. I know a very good painkiller will stop that symptom like that, because you won't feel it. That's easy. But as soon as that thing wears off, you know, the root cause, the underlying situation is still there. So thank you, Dr. Keeler. Laverne, I know you've been waiting for quite a while. How are you doing? Producer, do we have Laverne's mic unmuted? You unmuted it twice? Laverne's still muted.
Okay. Are you hearing me?
Here we go.
We can hear you, Laverne. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We are doing great.
Doing great, Laverne.
All right. I have a question. So I know someone just went through an open heart surgery and they replaced whatever. You know what it is. I don't understand or remember the medical terms. So they're rehabbing, recovering. Of course, it's an older person. And I'm just asking, like, what can they do from this point to better their situation, their health, like lifestyle changes, diet-wise?
I mean, Laverne, you already know what they need to do. You already know, right? Think about it.
I'm not a doctor. I'm here. I'm
No,
listening to you.
check this out.
Mm-hmm.
Our paradigm is plant-based, whole foods, plenty of good water, not no high pH, right?
Yeah.
Fruits, green leafy vegetables. That's what they need to do about their diet. We have supplements that if they've gone through anything, we have supplements that will provide nutrients that they otherwise would not get. So we have a whole paradigm, but our paradigm is based upon cutting out meat, cutting out dairy, cutting out alcohol, no smoking.
No smoking.
Right? And to remove medications, pharmaceuticals, right? Things that have side effects that would put them into situations that compromise their vital organs, right? Mm-hmm. So the same thing that you're doing, right? And really it's not that complex what we deal with, right? There's deficiencies in nutrients that when somebody has a specific type of condition, we know, they're gonna be deficient in these specific nutrients. So we can provide those to help to rebuild, right? Now, again, somebody who's had open heart surgery, what led to that point? What are the supporting systems that failed to lead towards where that person now needed to have surgery to keep them alive? So our whole paradigm is, all right, cut out all the starches, cut out all the meats, all the inflammatory foods, the inflammatory drinks, detox their home, get rid of all the pollutants that they have around their homes that cause inflammatory responses and cause hormonal imbalance, right? Anything that disturbs homeostasis has to be removed. Somebody who has open heart surgery means they're critical, right?
Uh-huh.
So a lifestyle change is necessary. We were built, black people, humans in general, we weren't supposed to be carnivores. We're supposed to be herbivores, right? So
talking Diva right here, so because I'm not, you guys know,
right?
I read the Bible. I mean, I'm not making anybody feel as though they're sinning if they eat meat, but I know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Right. So that question, what can they do? Again, they can have a consultation and we can find out everything, what's going on with them. If they provide their blood work, we can provide analysis.
Yeah.
Okay. So before they get to the consultation, right? I will talk to them, because like Tanya was saying, I don't know. You talk to people and you talk to people, and it's like it's like you get to the point you're crazy, or like, someone said you're in a cult or something is wrong with you. And even going back to the detox in the home, because I started that, and I've been doing that since the beginning of the year. As a matter of fact, in the last beginning of the year, I do shop with Melaleuca. I am now even one that actually do, what they call marketing executive. And I tell people it's not necessary for the aspect of making money, but because if I was after the money, as how some people are in it, I would have had a lot of people that already signed up. But I'm trying to help people to understand that I learned about this late. I know about the food part, but the actual toxic chemicals that we've been cleaning our homes with, and I've been a victim of that, and I, it's hard because you explain to people the reason why, you encourage them to do these things, and just like the food, I can't eat this no more, I can't eat that no more, what can I eat? Oh my, and it's just like you explain to them. It's even with the part of the you talking about, I know that as related to your heart, because I didn't have a heart problem before, and I don't have one now, thank God. But because I was using those things so crazy during COVID, I actually started to have heart palpitations and things like this. And so when you're telling people about these things, and for instance, now, even talking to them about the path of detox in their homes, they're like, it's like you're more crazy now than anything else. You lost it,
Right.
And you perspective of trying to help them to understand this is not good for your health. And there's still, people will be like, oh, yeah. And then they revert. It's like, okay, I'm not getting it. But I will share what I'm trying to say in all of that is that to get them to come to consultation first, that's why I ask questions so I can share with them.
Sure.
And then actually lead them on to you. Because it's a way to get them, right?
Right.
And so this individual, because I know her and I have a good relationship with them. Some people actually, it would be for them the money to do it, I'll be honest with you. And I'm at the place, should I actually, because in times past, I would actually even go to the point I will help you. And I'm not saying this to say it, but because I want, if the person can, I want you to get it. I want people to get it. It's not about me forcing or pushing. I want you to be able, if you can't. So and she's a senior. I'm saying now to say she's a senior, and
right.
Seniors, living off of whatever income they're living off of. I would talk with her and see if I can get her to that place. But I know currently she's rehabbing, so I'm trying to get whatever information I can,
right,
so that I share with her and encourage her, because I'm like, from this point out now, it's like, you got to do something, because something different. I know that's like that type of surgery is serious. And I think it might have been a blockage. I don't know, something of the sort. I'm not sure, but
right.
I just asked so I can actually get the information shared with them. And, actually, I've mentioned them before to you, so I'm going to do it again and see where they're at. So that's why I was asking.
And part of the issue of senior citizens, right? And I'm not saying all of them, just in general, is they're stuck in their ways. There's a way in which they've been doing things, and they have routine, and they can be thrown into disarray when you upset the routine. And the routine might be, my ham hock in my collard greens, the way how I traditionally prepare my meals. You want to take me away from what I know, so that old adage about, you can, what Tanya just said, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. That another old adage, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. There's a lot of deepness behind it, that when people are stuck in their ways, when they're used to routine, and you start to take them out of routine, as senior citizens, it can throw a whole cascade. And most people are afraid to try something new, in fear that it's going to upset their whole foundation. And it might be something trivial to you and I, but to them it's a big deal. So, we tell everybody, always read the labels, right? Always read labels. But you got people, they just grab stuff and throw it in. And then you want to start reading it. You're so OCD. They try to give you a label like you're ill, OCD. No, I'm thorough. I don't know what I'm putting in my body, you know? So when somebody's stuck in their ways, it's very hard to break habit. It's very extremely hard to break habit. But some can do it, but others, you know, and depends on how old she is. And you want her to do better. You want her to do what's best. But again, some people, you know, they'll call you the devil before they call you an angel, for disturbing their fried chicken.
You know, another
after
thing,
service on a Sunday.
So here's the thing. So you know, we're talking a lot of psychology today. So, you know, I'm always preaching about goals, right? We're all goal driven. There's a why. And, you know, you're a Melaleuca rep. At the very top of our wish tree, our life tree, our desire, there's a big why, right? And if I were to go around this call, everyone on this call, there's a reason why they're on this call. There's a reason why they work. There's a reason why they live where they live. There's something ultimately driving each one of us to not just be alive, but to thrive. There is some goal. There is some desire. There's something that's driving us. Okay. When people lose that drive, they lose that goal. They lose that. They're not, what's the expression? They've got nothing to live for. They will eat, drink, whatever they damn well please, because they have nothing to live for. They've tapped out. Dr. Sampson's talking about, you know, people of a certain age. They think I've retired now. My life is to sit in a rocking chair, eat ham hocks, smoke, drink Jim Beam, and enjoy my grandkids running around the garden. And every so often I'll shout something and throw a stick to a dog. They've tapped out. They have no goal. You're always going to find a challenge with those people because there's nothing driving them to do anything different, to get better. They believe that they've reached the pinnacle. They've reached the promised land. They've done everything. You know, they got the golden watch from work. Now they're on the downward trajectory. Everyone just leave me alone to eat my bacon. Now, you're going to struggle hard trying to convince people like that to do anything different. But check this out. If you really analyze those people and you really sit down with them, there is something keeping them alive. You got to find out what that thing is and remind them that they're going to lose that thing. That's going to drive them to make a change. It could be those grandkids. It could be their dog. We've got a good friend here. His mum's in another state and she won't listen to any of the family. She doesn't want to live with anyone. She's living alone. She's quite senior and she keeps falling and hurting herself. She fell on her face, fell out the bath, fell going up the stairs, you know. So she's in and out of hospital, but absolutely stubborn because she wants to stay in that house, but she's not well enough to look after herself, you know? So the kids are running around trying to get this woman. Every time something happens, one of them has to travel there to go and look after her for a day, whatever, you know. Then they suddenly realize, you know what? Maybe it's that going up there. Maybe it's the kids running around that's driving her. So, you know, they took that away, said, we're not coming. Guess what happened? She moved down with one of the kids. So there has to be a loss incentive. You have to find out what is driving someone to be alive before you can find the thing that's going to want to change. Otherwise, don't waste your breath. There's other people you can go and save. It sounds harsh, but this is where we are. We're at the 11th hour. The world is changing. Our community is literally dying. We're suffering infertility. We never had infertility. Less and less babies are being born. More and more people are dying at younger age. We are being wiped out. It's a social genocide. I'm not saying someone's deliberately doing it, but that's another conversation.
We are dying out. You know,
being wiped out.
The whole rainbow push.
Oh, don't start on that.
No, look.
Go ahead.
Check this out. Check this out.
I've got a tea break.
Let the record show you didn't say anything. All right.
It's not even that. It's that we got 10 minutes.
No,
look. Go ahead.
I could have done said it by now. You know that. Right? Anyways, we are being wiped out, and it's through all these poisons, right? And the evidence is through the changes that's coming in through the world, right? The phenomena of what the endocrine disrupting chemicals, how they displace our endocrine system, how they displace the way how we're supposed to behave naturally. And this ain't no hate. This is an alert on when we live in a democracy, and in a democracy, when enough people are making claims, they have to be heard. So there are, concessions that are made for certain communities. But as those communities grow, concessions turn into policy. Those policies turn into law. And now we feel, and when I say we, I'm talking about heterosexuals, right? Feel guilty for being heterosexuals now because of pressures being placed upon society to make way or to and I won't say compensate because it's beyond that now. And we're talking about things that have harmed us on a molecular level. We've been harmed at a molecular level, and the outcomes of those things are now being turned against us, where we can't even speak. You can't even say him or her anymore. He or she, man or woman, because you have to now compensate for those who don't want to identify in that way. Those people who have dysphoria, and dysphoria is an illness. It's a malady. But we now have to compensate for people who have some form of, whether it's acute or chronic form of psychological or mental illness that has placed them in a state of dysphoria. So these things we have to take note, and this forum, because it's our forum, these are things that we can actually talk about. We have to raise the alarm and raise the alert that these are the ways in which the world is changing. And it's happening in every single one of our families, around us, friends, colleagues, fellow workers, whatever, right? We're seeing the world is changing, and it's changing so rapidly that it's leaving us in disarray. I'm just putting it out there.
Excellent. Listen, guys, great conversation. We've got a few minutes left. Deb, I know you've had your hand raised for a little while. Deb, please unmute your camera and your mic. Producer, is Deb still muted?
Hi, Deb.
Hi, question. So I did the 14-day detox last year.
Congratulations.
So I'm going to do the 30-day fat detox starting next month. And I noticed there was no structured water. So I actually like the structured water. So wondering, is it going to impact me if I add some of the structured water into it, or is there a reason why it was left out?
No, I mean, the structured water, you can always, and this is the thing, structured water is something that I drink every day. I don't have to be doing a fast or a detox. Structured water is great. So I have it every day. It's always part of my, and I drink at least 1 liter of structured water every day. I don't always drink coconut water, but like today you had coconut water. You had coconut water today and yesterday, right? So everything that we put into the Detox 14, the 14-day liquid fast, you can still implement those because they are great for you. Mm-hmm. When something's great for you, now it's at your discretion. So if you look at the life after detox, we still encourage you, continue getting Claringa, continue making structured water, but with the Great Black Fat Detox, that's something that you can implement, by all means. If it works for you and and especially if you said that you did it last year and the structured water was so good, you should have still been taking structured water till today. Because it is good. The Claringa is great. The black lava salt is great. A lot of people have issues, right? Because they have they lack sodium. A lot of people are sodium deficient. So, there are ingredients that will ensure that that your body has enough sodium. You know, take it if you loved it. I would encourage you get the Claringa as well. Make your structured water.
So
Okay, thank you.
the follow-on question from Naomi, who's on the call, asking, can you compare structured water with regular spring water? What's the difference between structured water and spring water?
I mean, regular spring water has its natural minerals. We're just basically enhancing it with chlorophyll. And that chlorophyll comes from chlorella, moringa, and stinging nettles. And, the properties of stinging nettles are great for beautification of the skin, right? Moringa it has a plethora of applications, right? If I could say that. And chlorophyll, as you know, the way how we utilize sun's rays, how we turn that into energy, so all these nutrients, in fact, are how we utilize when it comes down to it, how we utilize the rays of the sun, how we utilize the energy that's around us. We have a symbiotic relationship with the sun that we have to be exceptional to get the exceptional benefits of the sun. The less exceptional you are is the less you synthesize the sun and its rays, and we have an advantage with our melanin. So there's X amount that God already prepared for us with our melanin.
Indeed. So listen, folks, actually perfect timing, in fact. Dr. Keeler wanted to jump in. I'll let you please... Oh, your hand was raised from earlier on.
It was. I just wanted to add something briefly. The way the Creator put things together, in one food, you don't just have one mineral, one vitamin, one antioxidant. You have the right combination to work together to help you burn fat. Anytime you burn fat, as Dr. Amsu has talked about numerous times in the past and continues to address, when you burn fat, you get rid of toxins. Mm-hmm. So in the same foods, you will find the antioxidants in that same food that help you burn the fat, get rid of the toxins, and restore cellular health.
Yeah.
The thing is, as he said, it's not enough to eat the food. You have to know how to prepare it. So I'll give one example. Some people, they like tomatoes, raw tomatoes. Tomatoes are wonderful. They help us as an internal sunscreen, but for men in particular, they're very helpful with prostate health. And in addition, they're loaded with vitamin C. So why is that important? If loaded with vitamin C, they're going to help you rebuild collagen for your skin, absorb iron so that you don't become anemic, and they have the lycopene, which is one of many phytochemicals that act like melanin anyway. Now, when you combine it with an oil and you let it soak overnight or several days, you increase the bioavailability, yes, thank you, of the lycopene, which means your body is able to access it, will absorb it, bind with it, utilize it to protect you. It not only helps protect your eyes, but it helps protect a man's prostate. And it helps us as sunscreen. So that's why when they offer the meal plans, those meal plans are there to help make the transition into healthier eating a lot easier to take the guesswork out of it. And so when people say it's too hard, I don't want to do it, it feels like everything is being taken away from me. Well, if all you've been given in life is death, and someone takes away death, and you're used to death, and they give you life, life is going to look really hard because you've never had to do life in the right way. So kindly use the books along with the supplements. They are excellently paired together. That's it.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Keela.
you, Dr. Keela.
Very well said. And quick question, I think coming through here in the chat is it's quite a funny one because I've got friends. In fact, my brother did that. He bought the Detox 14, didn't read the instructions, and started taking the Claringa under the tongue. Right? It's supposed to be for the structured water. It won't hurt you. I take Claringa under the tongue sometimes. So, Dr. Amsu, I mean, you're more than likely, well, you're not really going to waste it. You actually, it's more sparingly taken on the tongue. But it's for the structured water. It's something that we do want you to imbibe through drinking when you're doing the detox. However, the nutrients in the Claringa are absolutely beneficial to you taken through the water or under the tongue. Would you say?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just it's nice and potent that it gives that water. It enhances the how great water is, mineral water is. Now we say take it with distilled water, but you can do distilled or spring water.
Yeah. So Naomi's asking a great question. Really, what's the benefit of taking supplements under the tongue? Sublingually, we say. The reason you take supplements under the tongue is it enters the bloodstream without going through the digestive tract. The thing is, as great as the digestive tract is, when you imbibe food through your stomach, through your mouth, there are stomach enzymes and acids that are released that can denature certain things. And a lot of these herbs are quite delicate. There's a delicate balance in the herbal supplements that are made. And we need those nutrients to get into the cells, directly into the cells. So you take it sublingually. And it's not just us. There are certain medications you'll be told to take under the tongue. Intravenously. There are some they'll even put in your armpit or as a suppository, in the anus, as it were. So they know... The bottom, yes. So they know the way to get nutrients into the cells directly without going through the digestive tract is sublingually under the tongue, which is why our supplements are sublingual. So, and how do the supplements last again? Okay, so our supplements are sterilized naturally through the extraction process, and they're all organic. There are no I say biological. There are no meats, there are no additives, there are no emulsifiers, there are no chemically produced agents in any of our supplements. So they last a really long time, but they are from nature, and over time they will weaken, right? Their potency will weaken over a long time. So what we recommend is that you use them within 180 days of buying them and keep them in a cool, dry place. You don't have to refrigerate necessarily, but keep them in a cool, dry place. That's why they come in these dark brown bottles. These are called Boston Rounds, believe it or not. But the reason they're in these dark brown bottles is that less sunlight gets into them. So just keep these things, because remember, even a little bit of sunlight over time will cook anything. It's like a crock pot as opposed to a frying pan, right? So you notice anything, look, even your curtains, so one side of your curtains all faded out. I don't care what they're made from, the sun will do that, because what it's doing is denaturing the molecular structure of that. So again, keep your supplements in a cool, dry place. We recommend within 90 to 100 days use them. So if you get the detox, okay, you wait a couple of weeks to do the detox, that's cool, but do it. People buy the stuff and it's on a shelf for a year, then they email us, say, hey, Doc, I bought this thing last year, is it still okay to take? It won't kill you, but it may not do as well for you as it would do when it's freshly out of the fire. What else we have? I just bought from you guys and I'm so excited. Okay, we're excited too, Naomi. You just bought the kit and we're ready for you to do it. And make sure you download the app. Now, some news for you guys. Somebody said something?
Are you leaving now?
Yeah, 7 o'clock.
Go with you.
Oh, you talking to someone else? Okay, we can mute. She said we leaving now. I was like, can we go, please? Okay. Listen, guys. So you guys are special people, and people that see this on the YouTube, they may find out. But we've worked with a company to manage our app for over a year now, maybe almost 2 years, a year and a half. And the app has been absolutely great. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the app. We want to keep having an app, but we're probably going to have to migrate from that platform because there are some limitations on the back of the app that we can't get around, and we can't wait for this company to start updating the app. So there may be a period where we're having to transition to a new app. Now, if you guys know how apps work, you can't just migrate from one app to the other. You have to download the new app. So hold this space. Please don't go anywhere. We are probably going to launch a new app, and then we'll just send an email out to everyone telling you how to get the new app, and then hopefully we can keep as much of your history. All of you that have badges and stuff, we'll honor your badges, and we'll give you your badges again, and anything else like that. But it's just something we have to do. There's just limits that we can't get around. But and again, we'll keep you posted on that. But the reason I'm saying that, we really do encourage everyone to use the app, to download the app, and to submit their testimonials and any questions. I get on the app. We have customer service guys on the app. People ask questions through the app, and you can find responses pretty quickly, especially if you're like in the UK or different parts of the world if you're not near us. And it's been a really great tool for accountability. Because one thing we know, today, we talked about a lot of things today, but a lot of it's to do with psychology, right? People achieve their goals when they have accountability, when they have partners, when they have people to do it with them. That's why we encourage families and couples and groups to do it, because they can spur each other on. People that like to take things and go and on a sabbatical and, go to a log cabin, they always fail. In the log cabin, there's a box of cigarettes they have saved under the wooden floor in emergencies. On day 2. Because, they try to convince themselves that they're going to take a week and quit smoking. It doesn't happen. You want to quit smoking, you got to go with the group, throw those cigarettes in the bin, and that group is going to make sure that you don't smoke that week. 3 days for nicotine addiction. And by the way, nicotine as well as carbon monoxide, these are the chemicals that are in smoking, that are released in smoking, that cause plaque in your arteries, right? The reason why your blood pressure gets higher, because your arteries get smaller. It's simple physics. So remove the plaque, reduce the blood pressure. These are things, Laverne as well, we're talking about, as well as Ingrid and Michelle, to people that we have, our loved ones. This thing doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to happen. So if you don't believe, tell stories, show people pictures. I love those pictures, shows the healthy lung and the unhealthy lung. Sometimes you got to go that cold and let people know, listen, this is you now, but this is going to be you in 6 months. And this is how you're going to die, right? We got to get, bold on that. So listen, guys, we want you guys to be safe. We want you guys to be well. Remember, guys, a lot of our supplements are maintenance supplements. You have a bit of condition, you want to lose a bit of weight, you drop the weight, then you drop the supplements. It's not the way you're supposed to do it. We take the supplements every single day. We drink special juices every single day. We use the Claringa. This is our daily life, and it's got to be a lifestyle change, and you guys will live long and prosper. Dr. Amsu, why are you staring at the producer? He ain't going to save you.
I'm not making eye contact.
You don't make eye contact.
I don't make eye contact with him. But thank you everybody for coming. As he raises the volume, right? Thank you everybody for coming. We are gonna be doing. You forgot to say.
Oh yes, I forgot. Tomorrow.
Doing a fibroid Friday tomorrow.
Same link. If you haven't registered, you can send the link out for the people to register for tomorrow's call. Really, really important. We've got a whole bunch of people that are coming into this for the first time. They want to know about, what are the alternatives? What are the natural alternatives to going under the knife? As you know, we don't need to tell you, 85% of black women in America will at some point have a female reproductive health issue, probably fibroids, and they will go under the knife. 75% of us are put under the knife for conditions that this can resolve, okay? This is real talk, so we're gonna be talking about that tomorrow. So anyone's got fibroids, PCOS, endo, anyone that's thinking about going under the knife, getting a myomectomy or a hysterectomy, or any kind of any kind of UAE embolism, have them come on the call, ask any questions they want. We're not charging, it's free. Tomorrow 5 p.m. you can use the same bit.ly link you used to get on this call, or we'll post it again. I know Dr. Keeley, you posted it. So tomorrow 5 o'clock, it's Fibroid Fridays. Until such time, we are sending love to each and every one of you. Happy detoxing, happy healing, be happy. Woosa.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Peace.
Bye-bye. No, they're gone now. Everyone's
too
done.
late
It's
now,
too
mate.
late now.